Hello guys, and welcome to another mkmobile character review, today featuring Kold War Skarlet, the newest addition to the Kold War team. As usual guys, please know the date when this video has been recorded because a lot of things may have changed since then, and if you're not familiar with the matrix I'm using in order to evaluate characters, you can find it on the top right corner of the screen. So without any further ado, let us put Kold War Skarlet to the test. Kold War Skarlet, guys, was recently released somewhere around the 7th of November 2020, and of course she's obtainable through a money pack or through a Cold War pack. With that said, let's take a look at her stats. Her attack is 52,920, which ranks the 9th highest in the game. The hit points are quite low, unfortunately, only 88,320, and they rank 25th highest in mkmobile. The toughness is 47,250, so actually the recovery, and they both rank 15th highest among all characters in the game. And the power generation, unfortunately, is very underwhelming for a diamond character, just 100%. So for her stats, Kold War Skarlet is going to get 19.4 out of 28 possible points. Special one of Skarlet, guys, is called Cell Siphon, and there is nothing special about it except that actually there is, but we're going to get to that later. First, let's take a look at the properties of the ability. The special one of Skarlet can be completely blocked by the opponent. It has Bleed as debuff, which is quite common for all Skarlets in the game. It can be cast from distance, even though the first mini hit usually misses, but that's not a big deal at all. It is not lethal, it consists of 4 mini hits, and it has the multi-tap circle as minigame. And now it is the time to mention what I dislike about her special one. First of all, it doesn't really follow smooth after her combo enders, and that's really pity. Sometimes it will go through, sometimes the enemy will eventually block it. And that's really bad, because after all, she relies on her special one to feed her shield, right? In order to activate her shield, she needs to spam special one, so special one should be the greatest weapon of her arsenal. Unfortunately, it doesn't work. Like, it doesn't, because in order for you to deal pretty good damage with this special ability, you need to make sure that you're going to release it in the middle of your combo before your combo ender. And that's really bad, because if her special one was following her basic attack combo enders, like in Assassin Skarlet case, I think that Kold War Skarlet would have been a much better character. Unfortunately, up to this date, it doesn't. With that said, let's take a look at the damage. The minimum damage of the ability is pretty great. It is 23,226, which is the 3rd highest in the game, and the maximum damage is 37,162, which ranks 22nd highest. And as usual, let's take a look once again at the properties of the ability. The special one of Skarlet can be completely blocked by the opponent. It has Bleed as debuff, but it also has a chance to gain Crimson Shield, so I will be giving 1 extra point here. The ability can be cast from distance. It is not lethal, it consists of 4 mini hits, and it has the multi-tap circle as mini game. So for her special one, Kold War Skarlet is going to get 9.6 out of 13 possible points. Okay guys, it is time to talk about special 2 of Kold War Skarlet, and yet again this is another strange special attack, I would say. And this is why I think so. This special attack can be completely blocked by the opponent, and it has regeneration as buff. However, if the special attack gets blocked, then the buff is not applied. And this is really strange, because usually this behavior is pretty natural for the debuffs on special attacks, not the buffs. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the first time when I see such thing. For example, if you have shield on special attack, if you use your special attack, and it doesn't matter whether the opponents block or not, the shield is going to be applied on your character. However, this is not the case for Kold War Skarlet. But enough of this, let's proceed with the special attack. This ability again is a mystery when it comes to whether the special attack can be cast from distance, because somewhere between mid, short, long range, somewhere in the middle, even if the enemy is not blocking, then the ability won't connect. Only the first mini hit will hit your opponent, but nothing will follow. So it's really strange. At some point it seems that the ability is long ranged, but at some point it doesn't. Please let me know how you feel about it down below in the comment section. In addition, the special attack is lethal, it consists of 7 mini hits, and it has again the multi-tap circle as mini game. When it comes to damage, the minimum damage of the special attack is 60,389, which is the second highest in mkmobile. The maximum damage is 98,713, which ranks 12th in the game. And like usual, let's repeat the properties of the ability. The special attack can be blocked by the opponent. It has regeneration as buff, however it is not guaranteed, because if the special attack gets blocked, then Skarlet isn't regenerating. The ability can be cast from distance, kind of can be cast from distance, again a mystery there. It is lethal, it consists of 7 mini hits, and it has the multi-tap circle as mini game. So for her special 2, Kold War Skarlet is going to get 12.8 out of 19 possible points. The fatal blow of Skarlet, guys, is called Bloody Fun, and you know I already reviewed the other two Skarlets. This Skarlet is not an exception. This special attack has bleed as debuff, and unfortunately it cannot be cast from distance. The special attack will fail, so please make sure that whenever you are casting this ability you have to be standing exactly next to the opponent. With that said, let's check the damage of the fatal blow. It is 139,360, that's pretty high, and it ranks 4th highest among all X-rays and fatal blows in mkmobile. Once again, the ability has bleed as debuff and it cannot be cast from distance. So for her X-ray, Skarlet is going to get 1.7 out of 4 possible points, and the total amount of points she gets for her special attacks adds up to 24.1 out of 36 possible. The basic attacks of Kold War Skarlet, guys, are kind of weird. Thing is, I think that she isn't the best fighter in the world. Reason being, she hits fast, but the chaining of her basic attacks isn't good at all. She doesn't push opponents back if they're blocking. Actually, she gets in very bad situation after the end of her combo, because her recovery speed is pretty slow. Though if you decide to block immediately after your combo, you'll be kind of okay. But if you decide to chain it with another combo, in 95% of the cases the enemy will interrupt your basic attacks chaining, and this is not really great considering the fact that Skarlet is pretty squishy. And another thing that I dislike about her basic attacks, they simply don't work with her special attacks. They don't flow with her special one. If you do her special one after combo ender, it will be blocked in, let's say, 60 or 70% of the time. If you're doing special 2 after combo ender, the special attack will get blocked or it will miss, because one of the combo enders will throw your opponent out of reach. So in general, her basic attacks simply work against her, guys, so I'm not really a fan of her basics, sorry. The only thing that saves them is that if given block breaker, she's kind of okay and she hits fast as mentioned before. So after giving her 7.1 out of 10 possible points, I still consider Assassin Skarlet as the greatest fighter of the Skarlets. The passive of Kold War Skarlet, guys, is called In Cold Blood, and here it is what it does. Whenever reduced to below 30% health, Kold War Skarlet gains Crimson Shield, which reflects back 50% of the enemy's initial damage from basic attack, special attack, and X-ray or fatal blow damage. All Kold War teammates have a 60% chance to gain Crimson Shield for 12 seconds on special attack 1, and that's including Skarlet herself. Kold War characters do 10% more damage versus Day of the Dead characters. Okay, let's take a quick look at this passive. And before I get into that here, I just want to make sure that you know, guys, that I have Skarlet Fusion 1. The only reason why I'm doing this review is because you guys requested it in Discord, and your wish is my command. Now, I'm saying this because it's really difficult to judge with 100% certainty and confidence a passive if you don't have the character maxed out, and especially if you have all 3 members of a team, such as a Kold War team, maxed out and only Skarlet being at F1. Still, I did my best to try to objectively judge how good this passive is. So let's get into details. And let's talk about the shield. Now, this is the first time where I am kind of surprised, because it seems to me that the description of the passive is wrong. It doesn't reflect 50 or 60% damage in my opinion, and based on my calculations, it actually reflects about 70% of the damage, both when it comes to basics and special attacks. And on top of that, if you have both of the shields coming from the Cold War team, this is the Frost shield or the Ice shield, it doesn't matter, you call it whatever way you want, and the Crimson shield, the strangest thing is that you don't take any damage whatsoever, but your enemy takes a lot of damage. This was actually my biggest concern. I was sure that once you have the Ice shield, then whatever damage you're going to reflect to your opponent won't be a big deal, because after all you're taking less damage already. But fortunately for me, this is not the case. So in general, what do I think about the Crimson shield? One word, it is just okay. The problem is that you are taking damage. Let's take for example the Red Jade. She has better shield because she doesn't take any damage whatsoever, and she doesn't rely on chance in order to summon this shield, let's call it this way. So yeah, the Crimson shield is pretty cool, but it is really OP once you have this shield and also the shield coming from Cold War Sonya's passive. If you're talking just about the Crimson shield, it's just okay. And unfortunately, like usual, Kold War Skarlet has this passive only for herself and 3 other characters. This is the thing that I dislike about it. You cannot use her passive as a support in any other team whatsoever. So I was thinking a lot about this passive, guys. You saw I did the math. I am sure this passive is pretty cool in a Cold War team, and if you have Sonya and Skarlet, this passive is straight ahead OP. But outside of it, it's not really that impressive, so I decided to give it 17.5 out of 20 possible points. Probably I'll change my mind once I max this character. In addition, Skarlet is just an outward character, so she gets 1 point for classes and 0 points for tagging attack. Okay guys, we got to the most interesting part of the video. Here we have to decide whether Skarlet is actually a good character. So once again, let's take a look at the bigger picture. She has pretty decent stats. For a diamond, I would say slightly underwhelming, but still decent. Her special attacks are okay. Unfortunately, they don't really follow pretty great after her basic attacks combo enders. So this is a big drawback in my opinion. Also, this character passive is pretty decent as well, pretty good. However, her passive revolves around her using special 1 all the time. At the same time though, her special 2 has one of the best buffs in the game. And on top of that, her special 2 buff won't be activated if the enemy is blocking. So there's so many ifs around this character. It's really difficult for me to get focused. I don't know what should I do with her. My instinct is telling me that she should be played around her special 2 because it has regeneration, of course. However, if you decide to do that, you almost completely forget about her passive, and that's also not great. So she's strange. This is the best way I can describe her. Strange. So I decided to give her 0.5 of my subjective points. I'm sorry guys, I'm never been a fan of Skarlet's. I'm actually offended that Skarlet has 3 diamond versions in this game, while my favorite Melina and Sonya combined have 2. It simply doesn't seem fair to me. I have no idea why they decided to flood mkmobile with Skarlet's. Anyways, when it comes to this specific character, I'm not convinced that she's pretty great outside of a Cold War team. Once again, in a Cold War team, she should be one of the best supports combined with a Cold War Sonya, and they'll probably turn Cold War Sub-Zero into a fighting god. So, with my half subjective point, Skarlet is going to score 70.6 on our scale out of 102 possible points, and we can label her as a great character. She's actually borderline between very good and great. Once again, Cold War Skarlet, final verdict, a great character. Judging from her passive and her basic attacks and her special attacks, I would say that Cold War Skarlet shouldn't be an opener. Especially in a Cold War team, there are at least 2 characters that should be better openers than her. But still, she's not terrible, she can do it. However, you have to be careful not to lose her in the beginning of the battle because she's kind of squishy. And when it comes to the characters that are really easy matchups for her, I couldn't think of any. Basically, if you play her properly, she can be easily good against almost any characters in the game, except for the characters that can poison you, such as Classic Reptile, and of course she's pretty bad against disablers, for example Classic Lucane, Classic Raiden, and I would also say that a very difficult matchup for Cold War Skarlet should be MK11 Jade. Okay guys, we got to my favorite part of this video. I'm saying it's my favorite because it absolutely illustrates everything that is wrong with this character. Remember when probably a couple of minutes ago I mentioned that this character is strange because her passive revolves around her special 1, but everything else is urging you to use her special 2, right? She's really weird when it comes to the playstyle you have to adopt while using her. So the same applies to the equipment, by the way. Let's take a look at her epic and rare piece from the tower, from her tower, the Cold War tower. The rare piece gives bleed damage boost, the epic piece gives bleed damage duration boost. So all of this is telling us that he should be inflicting bleed on her opponents. She can does that by either using her special 1 or by relying on her accessory so that she can break blocks and eventually apply bleeds on combo enders. However, there are two problems with that. As we already established, her special 2 is great because it has regeneration. If you're using her only on her special 1, that's not really a great thing because you have to regenerate. Skarlet is pretty weak when it comes to the punishment she can take. Pretty squishy. So I'm really confused when it comes to the equipment I should give her. To be honest, even her item, the accessory, I forgot its name, the one for Skarlet, you know it very well, that applies a bleed on combo ender. It just gives 35% once maxed. If I'm not wrong, I believe it does just 35%. And sometimes this isn't enough. Sometimes you just won't break the enemy's block, and this will mean that you'll be in a lot of trouble. So every time when I play this Skarlet, for the short duration I had, I usually give her a piece of equipment that gives a higher chance of block breaking. Such as, for example, Cento Blade. Why not? It gives 45 and some additional nasty faction wars damage boost. So yeah, long story short, I hope this illustrates to the best extent what is my main issue with this character. She is all around her special 1, her equipment is telling you to use her special 1, her passive is telling you to use her special 1, but at the same time you don't want to use it for a lot of reasons that I mentioned before. Really strange. And currently you can see a simple set of equipment that I would advise you to use if you want to go for her special 2. Of course, if you have her tower equipment of decent fusion, go ahead and use it. And finally guys, we are at the team section of this video. This will be a very short section of the video guys because the character hasn't been around for a very long time, so definitely you have to team her up with Cold War Sonya and any other member of the Cold War team. It can be Sub-Zero or Scorpion, it doesn't matter, it all depends on your playstyle, which one you like better, which one you have on higher fusion. And of course you can always try to team up Cold War Skarlet with any other outward character that can boost her, such as for example Mournful Kitana, such as I don't know, anybody, Treacherous Tanya, you got the idea. Okay guys, Cold War Skarlet, what do you think of her? Do you like her? Do you dislike her? Please let me know in the comments. Once again, she scored 70.6 and we labeled her as a great character. As usual guys, if you want to see more reviews, you can find the playlist on the top right corner of the screen, and if you want to know which is the next on-demand review, you can check the standings in our Discord server. See you next time guys, take care and stay safe.
Excellent. Perfect.